This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy, and this is my closet full of all the stuff that I love. And today our final installment, unless there's another one, of our Films on Drugs series. Today's film stars everybody's favorite crooner, Johnny Fontane. Just kidding. It's actually the chairman of the board himself, Frank Sinatra. Let's check it out. For this installment of Films on Drugs, we're not going to the 90s or the 80s or even the 70s. We're going to 1955 for The Man with the Golden Arm. It's about 120 minutes long. It's in beautiful black and white. And this one is about a guy named Frankie Machine. He's a card dealer in illegal card games, and he just got out of rehab for drug addiction. He returns to his inner city neighborhood, and everybody's glad to see him. And he says, the monkey's off my back, and I want to stay clean from now on. But certain forces in the neighborhood and in his life drag him back down the road to addiction. This was directed by Otto Preminger, who made some very controversial films and also some great film noir like Laura and the great film Anatomy of the Murder with James Stewart. Both those films, I think, are better than this one. It stars, of course, Frank Sinatra. He actually made several films. He won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor 2 years before this in From Here to Eternity. And he was nominated for Best Actor for this film, but he didn't win. But later on, he went on to say, I won the Oscar for the wrong film. So he thought his performance in this one was better. He also made Manchurian Candidate. I think that's a better film than this by far. He was kind of in a competition with Marlon Brando. They ended up going for the same films at one point, and they were both offered On the Waterfront. Sinatra really wanted to do it. Marlon Brando, of course, got that role. And so when this script came around, it wasn't even finished. It was only 40 pages long. It was based on a novel. And so Brando said, well, the script's not finished, so I'm not going to do it. But Sinatra wanted to make sure that Brando didn't get it. So he grabbed it and he starred in The Man with the Golden Arm. It also stars Kim Novak, who I know best from Vertigo, which is one of Hitchcock's best films and one of my favorite films. And she plays sort of his old girlfriend, and she's very good in this. Sinatra's good too. He's very believable. He's very charismatic, of course. And Novak is good. She's very sympathetic. She's pretty. And she's very supportive of Frankie's dreams and what he wants to do. And she's just very good in this film. It also stars Eleanor Parker, who I really never heard of. And she plays Frankie's, I think, wife. They're connected to each other. They live together. And she's in a wheelchair. We learned gradually that she was in a car accident that resulted in her being in a wheelchair. And then Frankie was driving the car at the time. So he feels major guilt about this. And he wants to keep making money to find a doctor that can fix her condition. Meanwhile, Eleanor Parker in this film is awful. Her performance is terrible. It's way over the top. It's overacting. It's melodramatic. It's like she's in the wrong film because nobody else really acts that way. And I don't know how Preminger let her get away with this, but it's pretty terrible. And she is very unsympathetic. But she's supposed to be unsympathetic because it's all about her, and she doesn't want Frankie to leave her side any moment, and she wants to be massaged by him all the time. Whenever he says he has a dream and he wants to do something, she shoots him down immediately, unlike the Kim Novak character, who's like really supportive and encouraging of his dreams. So we really don't like the Eleanor Parker character, and we're really not supposed to. And the acting style doesn't help at all. Darren McGavin is also in this. He's this very slimy guy hanging around the neighborhood who is actually the drug peddler who we can assume got Frankie hooked on heroin in the first place. We know him, of course, from A Christmas Story and from the Night Stalker movies and the series Kolchak, the Night Stalker. It also includes Arnold Stang, who is a character actor who's been in everything. And he always plays the same guy. He's like the nebbishy guy with the big, thick glasses and the baseball hat and kind of the comic relief character. The scenes with McGavin and Sinatra and Novak and Sinatra are really the best scenes in the film. Stang's scenes with him are pretty good too, even though he's just kind of an annoying character like he always plays. This is supposed to be set, I guess, in Chicago because that's where the novel was set. But I'm watching it and I'm thinking they were trying really hard to make this look like a grubby, gritty part of town. But this looks like a studio backlot to me. And sure enough, I learned later on that's exactly what it was. You see, unlike On the Waterfront, which was shot on location, has a really gritty, realistic, genuine feeling to it. This one really doesn't have that realistic, genuine feeling to it. Then there's a bar, and there's a nightclub, and there's a diner, and then apartment buildings, and everything's real dingy and run down. And it seems like everything's within one block of everything, because you never see anybody get in a subway and go anywhere, or even get in a car and go anywhere. They just kind of walk across the street and now they're home. So that part was kind of, I don't know, kind of lame, I thought. So Frankie returns to the neighborhood in the beginning, and I swear we hear his name like 15 times within the first 5 minutes. Hey, Frankie, you're back. How's it going? Hey, Frankie, what's going on? And they kind of talk like that, and Frankie's like, oh, I had a swell time at that hospital. Gee, I had a great doctor. And so it's a little bit dated, the dialogue and the way they talk in it. And he says the monkey's gone, meaning his heroin addiction's gone. And now he wants to stay clean, and he learned how to drum in the hospital, and he wants to be a drummer. And I'm thinking, this is 1955. Does he think that if he becomes a jazz musician, and none of these guys are using hard drugs? Because if you think of Charlie Parker and Miles Davis and all these guys around, the early part of the 40s and 50s, they were into some hard drugs, man. Some of them died from it too, so I don't know what his thinking was there. Another kind of funny thing about this film is the neighborhood that Frankie's living in. It seems like nobody has a regular job. He's a car dealer. That's why it's called the man with the golden arm. It's not because he's shooting drugs into his arm. It's because he's such a great card dealer. But these are illegal card games. And so you have him as an illegal card dealer. You have Arnold Stang, who's like getting stray dogs and fixing them up and trying to sell them to people. You have guys in the street asking for money. Nobody seems to have a real job in this thing. You have the guy, the drug peddler, played by Darren McGavin. You have the guy who runs the illegal card games. Kim Novak seems to be a hostess of some kind in a nightclub, so she has a normal job. And then you see like a bartender briefly, but that's about it. So like I said, he gets back on the heroin within about 30 minutes. And that's really not a spoiler because, a film like this, if he doesn't get back on it, you're not really going to have much of a film. Finally, about the 1 hour and 40 minute mark, he decides he needs to go a cold turkey to beat his addiction. And that's where Sinatra's, his big moment comes, where he's, having the withdrawal pains and really acting it up. And he's pretty good in it too. It's a good performance. The music is a problem. Now, Elmer Bernstein, who was a renowned film composer, did the music. He was even nominated for this film. But for me, it's like, put it this way, like most of the film, there's nothing subtle about the music. It's like a sledgehammer telegraphing everything. Let me give you an example. When Darren McGavin finally is going to hook up Sinatra with his first drug fix in the film, every time he takes out an item for the drug kit, like he takes out the spoon and puts it on the counter, it's like bump bump. Then he takes out the drugs himself, bump bump bump. Then he takes out the syringe, bump 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 bump. And that's kind of how the music goes in this. And so it wasn't to my taste. On the other hand, there are some good jazz interludes, and they were performed by some West Coast jazz musicians at the time. Shorty Rogers and Shelly Manne, the drummer. Shelly Manne even had his own jazz club in LA for a while. And so that was another kind of tip off to me that this was probably shot in Hollywood on a lot somewhere, because why would they be using West Coast jazz musicians if they shot this on location in New York or Chicago? There's plenty of jazz musicians over there they could use. So, and they also appear in the film in a couple of scenes too. So, is this a noir? On my shelf, I have it with the other noir films. It is the seamy side of life, and these characters that are sort of down and out. Cinematically, there are some nice fluid camera movements here and there, but nothing special as far as a real noir style to the cinematography, I would say. I always like to kid around and say that it's not noir unless somebody gets smacked in the face. And sure enough, Sinatra gets smacked in the face in this one, and so does Arnold Stang. So maybe that qualifies. I don't know. The bottom line is, if you're a Sinatra fan and you haven't seen this, it's a must-see. I do give Preminger and the filmmakers credit for tackling the issue of drug addiction. It really wasn't done in an adult, mature way. And in fact, the film censors, they weren't too happy about them doing a film about drug addiction. So this disc is a really old one I have. It's a 2-disc edition, 50th anniversary, and it looks awful. Boy, the film quality is terrible. It looks like it's stretched out, so it's in the wrong aspect ratio, I guess. And it looks like a kinescope of a TV show, if you know what I'm talking about. And but the one interesting thing about this particular edition is I don't think you can get it anymore because it is actually 2 discs. You have one with the film, and then you have another one with special features. Special features are nothing that great. There's an interview with Sinatra where he's quite a bit older, but it's only about a minute and a half. And he talks about he went to see a guy on drugs going cold turkey in a rehab hospital in the Valley of all places, and he observed him. And Sinatra looks like he's genuinely moved, recalling what he witnessed, and he used that for the scenes in the film where he's going through drug withdrawals. There's also a feature about Elmer Bernstein, and I already said what I thought about him. And there's some stills from the film, there's a trailer, and there's a commentary, which I, of course, did not listen to. There's also some still photographs going along with Sinatra singing a song called The Man with the Golden Arm. And the song is pretty terrible. And it's just kind of syrupy and kind of overly dramatic. And it's like every word that rhymes with arm seems to be in this film, in this song rather. And so I think it was a good choice. They didn't use this song in the film. Otherwise, you can probably see this. Oh, if you're going to buy this, be careful about what you get. Now, this is not a real studio name on here, but it does say Sinatra Collection, I think, something like that. So I don't know, his name's on here somehow, unless I don't know what's going on. But I read somewhere that if it's not a studio name attached to the DVD or the Blu-ray, I think you can still find it on Blu-ray, then you might want to be careful about buying this thing. You can probably rent it, and you can probably find it at your local library too. I'm going to give this one, it's also on Amazon Prime right now, I believe, if you're a subscriber. So because they took chances with this, and because it is interesting seeing Sinatra in this role, I'm going to give this one 3 monkeys out of 5, because the monkey was off his back, then back on his back, then back off. So our last film on drugs series, unless I find another one. Hope you liked it. Feel free to leave a comment or suggestion down here. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. I'm trying to get to 150 subscribers. I'm almost there. I think I'm at 143 as I record this on March 4th, 2022. So that'd be great if I can find that. Otherwise, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you like this one, and I will see you next time.